this is entertainment. This is a horror film. We watch it to be entertained. But the truth of it is, like, if you are in a relationship with somebody who is controlling and narcissistic and violent, you know, that you can get out, as scary as it is.
Are you okay?
And you need help to do it.
Go.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist.
I am Alan Seawright. I am an unlicensed filmmaker.
And this is Adrian, who's going to murder us brutally if he doesn't like this episode.
So, we'll just leave that there, I guess. Today...
Yeah, what do we got?
Jonathan, I thought I would like to have you react to something.
I love reacting to things.
The thing I would like you to react to is something you can't see.
Chlorine gas?
Terrifying, but no. Something even scarier. The Invisible Man.
Ooh!
The new version, the 2020 film starring Elizabeth Moss.
You know, most modern horror remakes are absolute garbage.
They usually, usually don't improve on those.
Yeah, but this one was pretty awesome.
It was really good.
And freaked me right the hell out.
Right?
Yeah, like really, really well done.
Yes.
But I appreciate that it's not just a monster movie. It's grounded in this really very real concept of trying to get out of an abusive relationship.
There's two levels where the horror functions. One of them is there's a monster. It's a man you cannot see. But the other one is there's a monster and it's a man who's manipulative and horrible and abusive. And melding those two things together is just genius.
Yeah.
It's part of this trend of sort of a lot of newer horror movies like Get Out is addressing systemic racism, and also it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's smart ways to have really intelligent conversations about things and also scare the freaking crap out of you.
Ooh, let's dive in.
I'll explain later. Just go.
So she's been trying to...
Go.
She just... Oh!
Open!
What's happening?
I just love establishing the Invisible Man appearing from out of nowhere.
Right? But here's just a dude in like a t-shirt and pajama pants, right? Like he's so the opening of this film is so good because it's all about her step by step trying to sneak out of the house while her abusive boyfriend is asleep, right?
Yeah.
And so it opens on something so relatable. It doesn't open on he's invisible. It doesn't open on... It opens on...
But it's terrifying.
Yeah.
The whole time, you're edge of your seat, like, ooh, is she gonna make it? Oh, she kicked the thing. Oh, the dog.
It may actually be scarier than almost anything else that happens, because like later it's kind of like fun scary.
Right.
You know, it's fantastical scary, but at the beginning it's so grounded. And what I like, so a little bit of spoiler alert here, but the bookends is he's not invisible at the beginning.
Right.
And he's not invisible at the end.
Right.
At the beginning and the end, she's literally just dealing with an abusive monster of a boyfriend. And then she takes off, and now she's in hiding.
So this is her trying to go outside for the first time. So she's been away from the abusive boyfriend for a couple of weeks, but she's got so much PTSD that she is afraid to go outside.
Yeah. But she makes it to her childhood friend's house, who is a police officer.
He's a cop.
And he's got a daughter.
Yeah, I told you to have goals. Plural.
Relatable.
It's important to have goals, James.
Hey, look at you getting out into the world.
So what, she went and got the papers? Is that what that is?
She got the paper in the mail.
Yeah.
And so he says, yeah, give it another year or two and you'll be walking across the street.
Hey, see, something came for you.
So yeah, it's obviously a huge struggle for her to get out into the world. There's an earlier scene where she steps out and has a panic attack and has to run back.
Because there's a jogger, and she thinks it might be him.
Her life is a horror movie, so it's played with horror movie tropes. The jogger approaches and there's a big sting and there's it plays as a jump scare, even though it's just a jogger.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had any clients that are in that type of relationship, but like, have you ever dealt with or...
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like when you're in an abusive relationship, your life is a horror movie in the sense that the tension is relentless. Just like, I mean, I don't want to trivialize real life abuse by making this comparison, but it's nevertheless apt. In a horror movie, you have moments of tension and then it spikes. Something horrific happens.
You unleash the monster, right?
You unleash the monster.
Yeah.
But even after that spike, the tension never goes away. Like you're always
you
always
don't
on
have
edge.
you don't have the funny guy come in and drop a joke and
Right.
cut the tension.
You're always waiting for the next awful thing to happen and trying to prepare for it, but also feeling like you're helpless against it, right? And so when people suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic stress occurs when you think your world is safe, and then that belief is ripped from you.
Right.
Right. That's what trauma is, and then it can be further solidified by repeated trauma, ongoing trauma, where you develop this new worldview, which is my world isn't safe, my relationships aren't safe. At any time, something violent or horrible or terrifying could happen to me, or my life could be threatened, and then that becomes the lens through which you see the world. You and I step outside, someone's jogging by, it's just a jogger.
Right.
And that is, that's very, very realistic. The fact that she would panic and run inside like that. She's very relatable as a protagonist. And there's a lot of fantastical elements to this story. But her fear and her emotional responses are very much rooted in reality, which is actually why I think it's such an excellent film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can latch onto her as a person.
Well, she's so well written, and Elizabeth Moss, she deserves an Oscar nomination for this. Honestly, her performance is so good because she's playing sometimes in a small way and sometimes in a very big way this absolute just cascade of fear.
Yeah.
She's dealing with PTSD, and she plays that very believably.
Yeah.
And it feels real. And she plays absolute abject panic and terror, and she does that believably.
Yeah.
She plays this really broad range, and it always feels very real and very relatable. And
Yeah. Well, and let me tell you, I'm late to the game on horror. Okay.
so much, dude. I was such a scared little kid. Like,
but on a psychological level, as I grow up, horror is where we explore not just our fears, but how to overcome them and how to face them. And that is the power of the best horror stories are about standing against the darkness.
Get away from her, you bitch!
That's the real power of this.
absolutely.
Let me see some of your work.
Yes, of course.
So she's at this job interview, right?
Yep. And she's had a couple of subtle things happen to her where she thinks that Adrian is still alive, even though she's been told he's dead.
And now her portfolio is missing for a job interview.
I know that I know I put them in here, so I apologize. I don't know
Well, and one of the things that's fun about this is it gets at sort of your adolescent and like young adult nightmares of being unprepared, or you have to take a test and you're naked, or that kind of thing. Showing up to a job interview and your portfolio is there and you know you have it and it's empty.
Yeah.
So it's, a brilliant piece of psychological terror to inflict on someone.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, ugh, like this is what happens in nightmares.
Well, yeah, and so Adrian, like he's systematically breaking her down, which is what he did when they were together, right? Is he systematically, it's gaslighting. It's you can't trust yourself, you can't trust your own judgment, you can't trust your own perception. You have to put your trust in me, Adrian. And now when he's faked his own death, he's still trying to get her to think she's going insane.
Right.
And in any possible way that he could turn the screw to her, he is. But what I really relate to about this scene, it's such a little scene, but she's a woman who has just got out of an abusive relationship, and it almost cost her life to get out of it, and now she's trying to re-enter normalcy. Mm-hmm. I've got a job interview.
Sure.
And yet, even before she opens the portfolio, she's nervous and jittery, because this has affected her on such a core level, right? And so what the film really is a story of taking herself back, taking her life back, and empowering herself against her traumatizer, but also against the trauma, right? And that's why when I was done, I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, the scares were awesome, the effects were awesome, but really it's the story that I latch onto.
Speaking of gaslighting, our sponsor this week, as always, is Lisa's Passion for Popcorn.
What does that have to do with gaslighting?
This popcorn is gaslighting me because I look at it and I go, ooh, cheesy, and then I taste it, and turns out there's an invisible hidden element to the cheese. This is jalapeno cheese.
Ooh.
It is the best popcorn I've ever tasted.
And so invisible layer of jalapeno.
Invisible layer of jalapeno.
And blood red cinnamon. Like that was really thoughtful of him. So
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
Lisa's passion for popcorn. The number one star of this film is obviously Elizabeth Moss, just crushing it with her performance. The number two star is the camera work, making you absolutely terrified of empty hallways, empty doorways, and the use of POV
Yeah.
is so strong, where there's this otherworldly, inhuman movement to the camera where it's supposed to be a person's POV, but it's very smooth. I don't know how they mounted the camera, because a lot of times, I don't know, there's a weird feeling of malicious intent behind the camera that is brilliant, that I've literally never seen before.
Because point of view shots often move like a person would move. And
A lot of times they're handheld because your hand
Yeah.
bobs around and stuff.
right, like Halloween, you have Michael Myers' point of view, and I think I'm pretty sure if I remember, it's handheld and it kind of moves like he moves.
And all the Evil Dead movies chasing through forests.
But here it feels almost human, but not quite.
Not quite. It's oh.
And there's other parts of the movie where the camera will like pan to an empty corner.
Yep.
And I mean, you'll still see the protagonist in the shot, but the camera's not centered on them. It's telling you where the invisible man is.
Uh-huh.
And nobody else can see him, and it's just so unsettling. You would think not knowing where he is actually scarier, but actually knowing exactly where he is.
Much scarier to know exactly where he is and not be able to see him.
Yeah.
The three superstars of this movie are Elizabeth Moss, the camera work, and the really exceptional score by Benjamin Wallfish. Who is really quickly becoming one of my favorite composers. He scored this. He scored the It films. He did Shazam, which is a brilliant, like John Williams throwback, like fully orchestral score. So yeah, he's cut his teeth on horror films, but he's doing a lot of interesting stuff. He's really good.
So here, Elizabeth Moss's character.
Yeah, we've gotten to the end of the film. She's been through a whole heck of a lot. We're getting into serious spoiler territory. There's a big twist.
Yeah.
And
If the film intrigues you, pause our video, use our link below to rent it, and then come back to this.
yeah.
Wow.
But she's back. Turns out Adrian is alive. He's claiming that he didn't do any of the things
You always look amazing.
that he did.
Yeah, that it was
I don't
somebody
feel
else, and
amazing.
that he was
It's all a
kidnapped.
lie.
Please, come on in. It's cold. Come on.
Look how nice he is to her. But we've established thematically that the reason he wants her is because she doesn't need him,
Yep.
and he can't abide that.
He has to control that.
To fully understand the weight of the scene, you have to have seen the film, but this man is a monster. I mean, he is an awful, sadistic psychopath.
So I wanted to get us some simple takeout, but of course I started obsessing over what you'd be in the mood for. Hence we have the OCD buffet of sushi, steak, and pasta. Or you might not be hungry at all, which is so logical that it suddenly makes his feast like moronic.
But he's so good
have
at
steak.
what
It's a good choice.
understanding looks like,
Yeah.
right? And-
So good at faking it.
Yeah. And even like he even understands what she's thinking or feeling, but he doesn't really care.
You can't be an effective gaslighter without understanding what people are thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
You just, in his case, he doesn't care. He's going to use that and manipulate it to
the
get
only
what he
person
wants.
in
Yeah.
the world
That's a
who gets the
sociopath,
same answer.
devoid of empathy, sympathy, understanding.
It's because I need you, Cecilia. I know I didn't treat you the way you should have been treated when we were together. But
The emotion he's
I've
calling
learned
up.
my lesson. I would burn everything I own just to prove that to you.
But, you know, and this is the thing about narcissists and abusers. I mean, if I'm a narcissist, I have this belief that I am exceptional, that I'm special, that the rules don't apply to me, you know, or that things like that. And in his case, there is some exceptionality. I mean,
He's a world-renowned optics guy.
guy like himself. And a lot of times narcissists do possess a very narrow set of skills or talents that are exceptional.
Sure, yeah.
And the issue with that, of course, is that they let it override any sense of humility, any sense of humanity, and every other person becomes a means to an end. You are here to serve me. You are here to build my ego, to meet my needs, to satisfy my pleasures. And what is very realistic about this film, and the whole motivation for the Invisible Man, is that here is somebody who says, I don't need you. You're not that special. I'm better off without you. And it challenges their entire worldview. And rather than doing what somebody who's not a sociopath would do, which is be, maybe I need to take a look inside.
Right. Maybe I need to re-examine all of my previous assumptions.
Right. They're going to say, no, I need my worldview to work.
Yeah.
And in order for it to work, I have to bend this person to
I
my
am going to
will.
cram you back into my box that is my world.
And they will use any means at their disposal. So they can do violence and aggression and intimidation, which he does an awful lot of.
You think you're learning how to beat me, so I'm going to truly teach you something. If you fight me, I won't ever hurt you. I'll find someone you love and hurt them instead.
But then they can flip it right back over to
charm and fake contrition.
So well said. Fake contrition. And I wasn't good to you when we were together, and I'm sorry. Like,
it'll all be different now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a cliched abusive boyfriend or abusive husband thing to say. Oh, I'm so sorry, it'll all be different. And frankly, a lot of times I think abusers in the moment when they're saying that actually mean it.
Yeah.
But then they never do the work of actually changing because they got what they wanted. Oh, you're back in my life now. Okay, great. Things can go back to the way they were.
It depends on the degree of evilness. Because there are abusers and there are narcissists who are not completely devoid of compassion and humanity. And, if they are abusive, when they're abusive, they do feel remorse.
Right.
Right? Oftentimes they'll take a step into apologizing and then turn a hard left into blame. I'm sorry I hit you, but you shouldn't have
made
talked
me because you did that.
Yeah. But they don't want to be that person. Then you have people like this guy, and they're real, and they exist, who are just utterly malicious and feel absolutely no remorse.
And have a suit that makes them completely invisible. You're not safe.
Yeah. I've met with different types of guys who are Adrians in some degree or another. And the ones who actually feel genuine remorse and contrition, oftentimes the best thing is for that relationship to dissolve and for the dude to work on himself.
Work on himself, sure.
And get himself in a good place before he enters a new relationship.
Right.
But there was one time that I met an actual Adrian.
I know that you feel like you're going insane sometimes. But I'm the only one who can help you. Remember? Because I know you better than anyone else in the world.
Yeah. I know you. It's hard to get inside, like, what it would be to live like that type of person.
Yeah.
See, in good therapy, good therapists don't tell people what to do. We're not gurus.
Right, no, yeah.
Like, it's not for a therapist just to say, here, let me make all your choices for you. A good therapist is going to say, let's explore your options. Mm-hmm. Let's consider things you haven't considered. Let's see what would happen if you do this or that. Or we don't tell people what to do. This is the one time, like, I had them in one-on-ones, and I said to her, I'm going to do something with you that I never do. And she says, what's that? I said, I'm going to tell you straight up what you should do. You need to leave. Because this guy's going to kill you.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Like, I said
that's a fun conversation to have.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I looked in his eyes, and there was nothing there. There was no light. There was no person.
Right.
It was just completely dead eyes. But I was actually in the presence of evil, like straight up evil, and it was chilling.
Sure.
Like, it was absolutely chilling. And I told her they didn't work with me anymore. He didn't know that I said that. The point is, like, this is entertainment. This is a horror film. We watch it to be entertained. But the truth of it is, like, if you are in a relationship with somebody who is controlling and narcissistic and violent, that you can get out, as scary as it is, and you need help to do it. You know, I love that she turns to her sister, she turns to her cop friend. Now, we might not all have cop friends, but that there are people that you can turn to help keep you safe, right? There are shelters, there's all sorts of things that you can do, and I don't want to suggest that it's easier said than done, but I will say, as scary as it is to get out, staying will go worse in the long run. There are real monsters.
Yeah.
You know, they're called narcissists and sociopaths.
Yeah.
And being able to recognize when you're being manipulated, being able to recognize when you're being controlled, and not only that, but having the courage to get help and get out.
Yeah.
You know, setting aside all the entertainment value of this film, which is considerable.
Sure.
The real meat of it for our lives is none of us deserves to be treated like that. None of us deserves to be used or abused like that. And just like, I mean, this is a fictional film, but she has people who care about her enough to protect her and to help her look out for herself. You have that too, right? And if you don't know where to start with a counselor, because a counselor is going to have all sorts of connections, or start with the police.
You can also like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notifications about more videos right here on YouTube. There is also a link down below. Jono gives free 15-minute consultations.
Mm-hmm. Biggest thing for us is if you like what we're doing, we can't survive unless we grow. And if you want us to keep doing these, then we need to grow. We need you to share this channel with your friends. Go ahead and click on that little button down below and spread the love.
Tell everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone!
Yes, it will take you a half a second, and it will make us a half a second happier.
That was so bad.
I don't know how to measure happiness. So until next time,
Invisislap your friends.
splatter paint on things,
And
watch movies.